Okay, so introduce yourself. Tell me where you're from.
So my name is Aleksandra. I'm originally from Serbia. I came to Canada when I was 8 years old in 1996. Came with my parents and my sister. I grew up in Ottawa. Was educated there. Lived there until about 3 years ago, and then my sister and I moved to Toronto. And we've been here ever since.
Why did they go to Canada?
So we came to Canada, like I said, in 1996, which was that post-war, Bosnia and Serbia post-war time.
Yeah.
And we came to Canada because Canada opened its doors for a bunch of immigrants who were in, the same situation. So a bunch of us came together
Wow.
in 96. So that's how we ended up here.
And you were 6 years old?
8. I was 8
You were
years old.
8. Like, did you get I don't want to say severity, but what was that like for you? I know this isn't really probably what you thought we'd be talking about, but this just fascinates me.
You know what? I, for some reason, never wanted to come.
Really?
I remember the day before we were supposed to leave, right? And I remember locking myself in my bathroom and just crying and not wanting to leave. Not that, the situation over there was great or anything that,
But it was what you knew.
It was what I knew, and
Right.
I just wanted to stay there with the rest of my family, my cousins and aunts and uncles. So this whole idea of, a big, a new free country was never really appealing.
Sure. I mean, you're 8. You didn't feel unfree.
Right. And I just wanted to stay there, stay where I was. Because like I said, we moved from Bosnia to Serbia, so it was a bit better. They were safer there. So we were away, we got away from the war and all the war zone. So I just wanted to stay in Serbia, right? But, I don't know, it just, we couldn't stay there. And, we came here, and even though you come to a new country, it's a free country, you have a lot of opportunity, but it's a culture shock, and it takes some time to adapt. It takes some time to get used to everything. So it's not all nice and dandy when you come, really.
Well, what you're saying is when you make a huge change of environment and culture and lifestyle, it's not all fine and dandy.
No.
Right, which is very much like sort of an analogy for many things in life, right?
Right.
Making a big change. Did you notice with your parents, again, you were just 8, but did you, of them trying to acclimate to this new world?
Of course, because my dad used to be a judge and a lawyer in my country. Then he comes here and he's pretty much a nobody, right?
So he didn't come here and just go right to being a judge or a lawyer.
Absolutely right? Not. He never really did. To this day, he doesn't work in his field, which, takes a toll on you.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
Whether you want to admit it or not, but it's.
Well, that's quite a prestigious hat to wear. You have to do a lot of work to get to that position. And when you're a judge or a lawyer, there are many people below you. Like, you really sit on top of, and you're an opinion leader for many.
Right.
And as opposed to just a seamstress in my country with a million other seamstresses, and I loved what I did, and I came to New York and I was still a seamstress and it was great.
Right.
That's the adjustment there is not as severe.
And that's exactly what happened. It's like, at one point in your life, you have it all. You have a job, you have a career going on, you have a vacation, you're used to traveling, and all of a sudden, all of that is being taken away from you, and you don't have any of that anymore, and you have to start from scratch. And when I say from scratch, I mean from the bottom scratch, So, like I said, it takes a toll.
Yeah. Now, and the bright spot of this is it was an elected change, correct?
Yes and no. I mean, what happened? We didn't choose.
I was just going to say, it's probably not elected that the environment that you were around was made.
It was not a decision that we had to go through the a war, right?
Right. That's what I was getting
But
at. Yeah.
I mean, yes, we did choose to come to Canada because the situation in Serbia at the time was not, like I said, the greatest. It was better than in Boston, but
Right.
not perfect either. And we were living in a small place, so it was time for us. It could, like, economically just wasn't stable. So we chose to leave Serbia, and Canada, like I said, is the one that had its doors open at the time. So we took it, and we came here. But I don't know. I mean, you wonder sometimes how life would have been had we stayed and pushed through the difficulties over there. And
Do you have family that is there? And
all of my family, all of my
yeah.
uncles, aunts, cousins are all back home still.
What was around you in your environment now in Canada, let's say as a teenager, that wasn't something that was part of your environment back home?
I grew up in with a very traditional Serbian family, and we always kind of hung out with the Serbian, not all the time, but
Yeah.
I had a lot of influence from the Serbian community, right?
They're in Canada.
In Canada. Yeah, I mean, because like I said, we didn't speak the French or English when we first came, so you kind of had to hang on to the people who spoke your language so that you could communicate or be friends with someone, right?
Right, right.
I always knew that I was going to be in the healthcare field. Like for me, that was a no-brainer. I just knew, and I finished my Bachelor of Health Sciences in the University of Ottawa. I also completed a Master's of Physiotherapy there. And I worked for a few different clinics before I decided to venture off on my own. And so that's what I'm doing right now. I have my own little place. I'm running it all by myself, but I truly enjoy every single day of it. I'm pretty good with my hands-on skills. I've developed pretty good techniques, I think. So when my patients come in, I always work with them throughout the whole session. And I think that's what they also appreciate is that I really focus on one person at a time. And I've just, I think, created a very cozy and warm and welcoming environment so that when they come in, they do feel comfortable with me. They feel at ease. They can open up to me. And then that facilitates a much better recovery and healing process. When my patients first come in, I do an assessment of their condition. And then based on what I see and observe and their limitations, I will do a treatment that's specific for their condition. So we look at the body movement, we look at their strength, we look at their range of motion, we look at things that they can do, things they can't do. It also depends on, their history and what they tell me and like how long they've been having this kind of problem. And then, like I said, I'll provide treatment and it's all hands-on. So it looks like a massage, but there's a lot more to it. So I work on the joints. If there's stiffness or lack of mobility in a specific joint, then I'll work on that. I'll also do a lot of stretches. If muscles are tight, we gotta, loosen that up. And then I will also leave them with a few things they can do at home on their own. So that they have something to do until the next time they see me, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of recovery and healing happens on your own. Right?
Oh, completely. Well, I was just like, that is such a huge part I would expect from your job is
Absolutely.
that people actually, because you're not actually cutting them open, taking a piece of disability out and replacing it with, a healthy piece of muscle, right? Like, so you're part of it, but they go home and start doing other things and that can start to degenerate. And so the idea that people can take home with them certain ideas.
Absolutely.
And so like how successful is that? Like, what do you find is a challenge of getting people to do things on their own in between their examinations with you?
You know what? It's very successful if people are dedicated and disciplined enough and actually do what I tell them to do. Of course, I have people who don't do anything, right? So of course, their recovery process is going to be a lot slower. So just trying to, get them to move and to be physically active as much as possible. To teach them is that they can do it with therapists like me and massage therapists and acupuncturists instead of having to take medication.
Of the highly over medicated society that we live in, and how people need to know more that it's not just masking a symptom with a pill, which ultimately isn't addressing the root cause. Yeah.
No, I couldn't have said that better, really. It really does just mask the pain. It doesn't solve the real issue. And not only that, but it can have a serious side effect. So, different medication can cause problems with your liver or with your gut or your heart or kidneys. But maybe the most important of them all is the addiction. And I find that to be a scary one, because you become addicted and it just never stops. Not only does it not stop, but it also doesn't solve the issue. So we haven't really moved from status quo at all. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's why I'm very much, resistant or not to say against opioids, right?
Oh God, that's such a scary, huge epidemic.
Yeah, so even for small little things like headaches or an inflammation of a joint, there's a lot of things you can do. It can be as simple as really just spending some time outside. So taking a walk outside, breathing some fresh air in is I think, always a good thing to do. Breathing, yes. Breathing is another big one.
Because there's a lot of stuff there of how oxygen, what it does to our body made up of quite the vascular system, and how adding more air to the system and the sort of just the detoxing factor of
exactly
breathing. When I lived in LA, it'd get so smoggy there, and whenever my daughter or I would have a cold, I would just drive us down to the beach, because I knew that oxygen there with the ions from the beach water and the salts in the air, I knew breathing that in actually was far more therapeutic than staying in my air conditioned, with toxic Freon filtered air that wasn't really helping my condition.
Right.
I knew it wasn't going to kill me, but I also knew it wasn't going to improve it any faster. We all want to be healthier quicker so that we can go out and enjoy life faster.
Exactly.
And just treating this vessel with the respect it deserves plays out into your attitude in life. It plays out into your work, so not to be discounted.
No, absolutely. You're right. And the sooner you catch it, the better it is, really, in the end.
Really super cool. And so now, how do people get a hold of you?
People can get a hold of me through Facebook or Instagram. Website, which is www.anphysio.ca.
Excellent. And just spell that one more time.
So it's www.anphysio.ca. Really, thank you for having me on and letting me share my message with your audience. So I can't be grateful enough. Thank you.
My pleasure. And thank you for your personal story in the beginning. That's always the uniqueness of you. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
Bye now.